Hi everyone, this is Perstal here and welcome to my channel. I hope everyone is having a lovely day. Today's video is going to be about how I manage my purse addiction. And I use the word addiction sort of in a joking manner, but in a lot of ways I'm not. Because if you watch my channel since the very beginning, you've known that I have cycled through a lot of bags in the last couple of years. And I'm assuming that that's not quite normal. And I love my handbags and sometimes a little bit too much. And for those of you who've been following my channel, you know that I've been trying to minimize my collection. And so I just wanted to show you where I am in my journey. Of course, I am not cured or anything like that, or am I some expert, but I can share with you my experience that I know that a lot of you can relate to. So I'm just going to do a quick overview of some of the bags that I have in my collection. Actually, this is my whole collection. And for some of you, this might be a lot. For some of you, it might be a medium amount. For some of you, it might be a small collection. But I'm going to talk about how it is that I used to have 20 some odd bags and now I have whittled it down to 12. So please stay tuned to the rest of the video. Hi, so to get over an addiction, I think that it's important to acknowledge that you have one. And so I just want to kind of go over with you, pinpointing exactly when I felt like I had too many handbags and that it was consuming too much of my time and my energy. When I was really young in my teens, I did not really care about handbags. I wouldn't say at all, but I didn't really care too much about them. And it was in my early 20s that I got my first really nice handbag. It was a Marc Jacobs bag, and I really liked that brand for a while. And then my first premier designer handbag was from Louis Vuitton. It was a Speedy 30 in monogram, and I got it from New York, and I had to pull in my money, my boyfriend's money, my mom's money in order to pay for that bag, and I was super proud of it. And I was still good with that bag for a little while. And then afterwards, I started thinking that there needed to be more bags for different occasions and different styles and so forth and so forth. And I kept buying bags for various different reasons, which I will go over in another clip. But the point was, at some point, all of my bags were not fitting in my storage space that I had for it. I have a closet for my handbags. It was not fitting in there. I was feeling overwhelmed and I was feeling very guilty. But it didn't stop me from wanting to purchase more bags. And so, day and night, I would be kind of like stocking bags online. I would be dreaming about them. I would be looking at them. I would be going to the stores. And pretty much it just didn't seem like I had any other hobbies or much of a life. And I know that for some of you, it might not be that extreme, or maybe it is that extreme. And so pretty much that is when I realized that I wanted to downsize. And the first time I sold a bag, I felt relief. And I think that's a really big clue. Like, I felt relief and I kept going with that feeling and going with that feeling. And so the first thing to do is to acknowledge that you do have an addiction, or that's the first thing I did, and to want to do something about it. So that's the very first step. And then later on, I will go over some of the reasons why I wanted these handbags. So now I want to go over some of the reasons of why I think I had the purse addiction, because not only is it important to acknowledge that you have the addiction, but also to understand the reasons why. And a lot of times there's more than one reason. And sometimes it takes a little bit of digging to figure out some of the more insightful reasons. Of course, I would say that most people like nice things, and yes, they're really pretty and they're really well made. I think those are very basic reasons why we purchase handbags, but there are other reasons as well. When I look back to my very first Speedy, as I said before, it gave me such a sense of accomplishment to get it. So I think that part of buying handbags is also feeling like you accomplished something, because not everybody has those bags, or because they're quite coveted, or because they're quite valuable. And so for me, I definitely feel like a sense of accomplishment was one of them. And also, I guess I liked how the bags probably made me feel more attractive, because it complements an outfit, and it kind of elevates an outfit. And so I definitely feel like, kind of like clothes, that the handbags also makes a person feel more attractive. And I also feel like handbags also give me something to talk about with other people. If you're a handbag enthusiast and you meet somebody else who's a handbag enthusiast, you have a lot to talk about, and that's kind of another reason why, you know, handbags were so addicting, is because I also liked talking to people about them. And then some of the other reasons in my mind is that, like, this one's kind of maybe harder to explain, but I think that handbags are a good distraction, because even though they, they cost a lot, and we're sad when something happens to them, they're really, when you think about life, they're not really that big of a deal. So it's nice to kind of, take a break from worrying about, real problems in the world, if that makes sense, and to focus on something that seems fun. And even when you have a problem with a handbag, it's never that bad, you know what I'm saying? And so I know that for me, there's a part of the handbag addiction was distracting myself from probably some other problem that I'm not addressing. And I'm not quite sure what that is right now, but I'm working on it. And so there are many different layers to why I kept buying and, selling handbags and things like that. And so, another reason that I had, I think, was that I was perhaps searching for perfection in a handbag, which is so odd to think about. But I went searching for my Holy Grail bags, and a lot of the times those Holy Grail bags didn't work out. And so, but searching for the Holy Grail bags and finally getting it was a really great feeling, and then it not working out was not a great feeling. And so, I think that I'm constantly searching for the next wonderful thing, and I know that that's not really where I should be putting my focus. And so I would recommend to you to be as honest as possible, to try to peel back those layers. And if you have any issues that can be dealt with in another way, that perhaps that should be looked at. I'm not knocking people who want to purchase handbags for like a happy reason, like they're just every once in a while they reward themselves, or that it's nice to be distracted sometimes from real world problems, but it's only a problem if you do it too often and it distracts you from addressing anything that you need to be addressing in your life. I hope that makes sense. I will talk to you in my next clip. Okay, so I'd say after you have determined that you do have a problem with purses or a purse addiction, and you go over some of the reasons why you think that might be the case, I think the next step would be to organize and critically examine your collection. And there are many ways to do this, and you kind of just have to do what makes sense to you. In my next few clips, I'm going to show you that I looked at my collection in terms of organizing it by its purpose, its style, its size, and its color. And so please stay tuned for that part. So handbags are really tricky because they do serve a purpose, but a lot of it is also your personal taste and your personal style. And so everybody's needs are a little bit different. And truth be told, if we just needed our basic needs met, any old canvas tote bag would do, right? But I know everybody has their own different styles and their own different, preferences in terms of how a handbag works. And so for me, I needed to come up with the categories. I need to organize my bags in categories that made sense for me. And so this will make sense for a lot of you as well, but your categories might be a little bit different, or you might require more or fewer bags in each category. And so by organizing your bags in different categories, it helps you identify if there are any holes in your collection, any needs that you might have, or too many bags in one section. Okay, so my first section here, I labeled it as everyday. And once again, a lot of these bags that I put for the different categories, they overlap. And so it's not to say that, I can only use these as everyday bags, but it's nice to know what its main purpose is. So for example, my Balenciaga Mini City bag is an everyday bag for me, for the most part. And then also my Burberry Paint and Clutch in black, my boy bag, and my Louis Vuitton pochette. And so my next category is work. And so for work, I need a bigger tote. So I have my Longchamp Le Pliage bag, but I could also pair it with one of my everyday bags for work. And then for date night, because this is a more delicate bag, I save the Prada Promenade usually for that. And then I also put in my Chanel Wallet on chain, even though For example, I also use this as an everyday bag or a weekend bag. And then for travel, because I like to travel with flat bags, the Burberry Pain clutches work really well. And this one, travel also for me includes going to places like amusement parks. And of course, here's another overlap. I also use this for travel as well. And then in terms of the special occasion category, there is my BCBG clutch and another Chanel Wallet on Chain, but this one is in the patent leather. And so you can see that all of my bags have a purpose. But if I wanted to, for example, trim down my collection, I can see that there are quite a few in the everyday category, especially since some of the other bags overlap. And so you can start seeing where there are maybe too many bags in one category or holes in other bags. For example, someone might say that because I use this for travel and work, that it might be nice to have 2 tote bags instead. So it's all up to you. But for me, this helped clarify in terms of what I was going to be using my bags for. Another way to categorize your bags is by size to see how many you have in terms of the different sizes. So I have only one large bag. I'm going to consider this in terms of my collection a medium-sized bag. So I have 1, 2, 3, 4 bags that are about the same size. And then I have these little ones over here, which I also have 4. And in terms of really small clutches, I have 2 over here. And so just by looking at my collection, you can see that I have a lot of small to mini bags. And so that might be an area in which I can afford to sell one of them or a couple of them in order to tighten up my collection. But you can see that I only have the one big one, so I wouldn't touch that bag over there. The other way of categorizing your bags is by its style, and so you can see that I have 3 wallet on chain bags that are all black and they are from Chanel, and so I know that there's a little bit of excess there. I only have one type of tote bag, one type of, I'm going to call this sort of a lady-like shape bag. I have another one that looks like this and one that looks like this, and I think these are all sort of unique styles in my collection, but as you can see, I have 3 of the same types of bags, or 3 of the same bags in different colors, and so I know that there's a little bit of excess here and here, and so that's where I would start to look if I was to reduce my collection even further. Another way to categorize your bags is by color, and so I have 2 main colors. I have pink, so I have 1, 2, 3, 4 pink bags, and I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 black ones, and I guess a silver clutch and a brown monogram bag. And so from here I can see that, you know, I wouldn't be selling this one because I know that's just my one monogram piece, my one silver piece. In terms of the pink bags, I guess I could probably reduce that a little bit as well. But definitely black bags, I have plenty of these. That could be an area in which I could reduce handbags, or I could tell myself no more black bags, which I have. And so once you organize your bags like that, you can get a clear picture of what you have in terms of colors and how that might play into your outfits. So another step that I think is important is to block yourself from triggers. And triggers is just anything that you might see or do that will, you know, get you thinking about purchasing a new handbag and things like that. And so I would say get yourself off of the purse forums, maybe block yourself from online stores, consignment shops, those kind of things. And even though I don't think that's a long-term solution, it does help during the time where it seems like, you know, you're just maybe losing a little bit of control. So I definitely did do that for a little while, and that was helpful because it gave me a chance to, I guess, to do other things and do some thinking and enjoying what I do have. So I hope that tip helps for you, and stay tuned for the next one. So another step I'd suggest is to use what you have and pay close attention to how you feel. When I was looking to minimize my collection, what I would do is I would have a checklist of the bags that I reached for, first of all, and then from that list I could see which bags weren't getting used, And for those bags that weren't getting used, I would try to use it and then try to determine what it is about it that makes me not reach for the bag. And sometimes I'll use a bag and I think I like it, but there would be something that bothers me. And so to confirm or disconfirm that initial thought, I will use the bag again the next day and see if, I still have the same feeling. And most of the time, if I have a bad feeling about a bag, a time that I use it, usually the next time it really confirms to me that, it's time for me to let go of this bag and find something that's better suited for me. I just want to also mention that I know that a lot of people don't like to sell their bags because they sell it at a loss. But I definitely feel like even when you sell your bags at a loss, when you are done with a bag, it's better to get rid of it, because otherwise that feeling of incompletion or whatever the bad feelings that bag gave you will still linger around. And so if you could sell your bags as quickly as possible, that is always the ideal situation. Another step that I recommend is to organize your storage space, and that will give you a good sense of how many handbags that you can indeed keep. Because if you don't have enough storage space for it, that's always going to be a hassle. On a similar note, just because you have the storage space for more handbags, I don't recommend that either. But definitely keeping things organized makes you feel like you know what's accessible to you, you know what's available, and it makes you feel like your collection is complete. So I hope that this helps. I did make a how I store my handbags video, and I will link it in the description box below if you're interested. I do need to update that, but you'll get a sense of how I generally organize things. Another way to deter yourself from wanting to purchase a handbag is to watch videos like this one. These are handbags that I've sold videos, and sometimes they talk about purse regrets, or they talk about issues in relation to its design or quality. And so by watching these videos, it kind of makes you feel like maybe some of these handbags are not worth it, and so it deters you from purchasing more. I filmed quite a few of these videos myself, and so I will link those ones in the description box below. But of course, a lot of other YouTubers have filmed very useful videos like this as well, so please check those out. I also wanted to suggest a couple of books that are good reads in terms of deterring yourself from buying luxury handbags. And not all of these videos are about handbags in particular, but this one is called Deluxe, and it's by Dana Thomas. And it talks about how, well, on the bottom it says how luxury lost its luster. That's a good read. And I also recommend Overdressed, The Shockingly High Cost of Cheap Fashion, and this is by Elizabeth Klein. And even though this one's not about purses, it does talk about how fast fashion is taking over, and so a lot of things are not as great quality as we think, and I definitely feel like it is filtering over to the luxury handbag world as well. Of course, I've talked about this book a lot on my channel. It is The Life-Changing Magic of Tidying Up by Marie Kondo. There's tons of videos about this book online, and pretty much it tells you to just keep things that spark joy. And so if you have a bad feeling about something, you can just let that go. And finally, I want to recommend this book, even though I've not read it yet, but I did watch a video about this. This is called Goodbye Things, and it pretty much follows the story of a young man who was pretty much overwhelmed by all of his things, and by letting them go, he has found a more fulfilled life. And so I think that definitely relates to my journey, and I hope that these are good reads for you. And if you have any other recommendations, you can leave them in the comment section below. Thank you so much for watching my video. The last tip I want to leave you with is that whenever we decide to get rid of a bad habit, it's always very helpful to replace it with something that is helpful and maybe enjoyable. And so this might be a great opportunity to, instead of thinking or talking or spending on money with bags, you can save that money, or you can find a new hobby, take a new class, go on a trip, spend time with your family and friends, something like that. Of course, I'm not saying that just because you own nice things that you can't do those things, but those are definitely things that I am looking forward to doing. Anyways, that's the end of this video for now. I do have more videos about this topic coming up because I couldn't fit everything in one video, but I hope that you enjoyed, and I will see you next time. Bye!